Hello. It's time to recap the January 2021 Basho, and we couldn't be more wrong about a lot of the predictions, but still, let's go over it! Soft throw!
Roll the salt, get in the ring, welcome to the Dohyo!
Hello and welcome back to the Dohyo. As I mentioned, we have predictions and recaps from the 2021 Hatsu Basho, and we're just gonna get this one out of the way.
Mr JWags was wrong!
Yeah, JWags was wrong about so much of it. I was right about exactly one prediction from my bolder predictions. So this was a humbling experience, but still an interesting Basho. I think the reason my predictions were so wrong is because I was basing all of my assumptions on this sort of faulty foundation. The first faulty foundation was that this was going to be some sort of a reckoning. This was going to be some sort of a Thunderdome event. We've been saying this for almost half a year, that eventually will come the time when the Ozeki will meet the Yokozuna on the Dohyo of combat and things will be resolved, and then no. And then we ended up having a Yusho that didn't really tie into the other plot line. So it's like, okay, we have like a huge buildup and not very satisfying ending, and now new characters popping in from nowhere. It feels a little late Buffy, but I'm willing to work with it. But yes, this tournament oddly felt very stable in that we had every member of the Sanyaku who participated got Kachi Koshi. We had Terano Fuji and Shodai and Asanoyama getting the, tying for the June Yusho, which we would expect out of them. The surprises ended up being Taka Keisho ended up kinda not doing so great, and Daieisho Yusho? Okay, so now we have another character to throw into the mix of the story of Sumo. We have Daieisho possibly on an Ozeki run now. Now, we've been talking about this on the Dohyo since we started, that I think Daieisho has been a very consistent Rikishi at the top of the Banzage, and that is remarkably hard to do. Well, he's 27 now, he may be coming into his peak. Now, we're like, this guy feels like he's been around for a while. He has been. He made his Makauchi debut in September 2015. He bounced up and down in Jiri for a while, but he was up for good in 2017. My running gag with the Grand Sumo Breakdown, guys, was like my bold prediction is Daieisho is going to get between 7 and 9 wins, and I was right for about 10 Basho in a row there. He just seemed to hang out at the top of the Maegashira ranks until about midway through last year. Something switched. He ended up winning 11. To be fair, there were 2 Fusen wins in there. Got bumped up to Sekiwake, ended up pulling like a 5 and 10, got smacked down. There was talk of an elbow injury. He came back with double-digit wins, and now a 13 and 2 Yusho. Now, I think this is going to draw comparisons to another pusher thruster who hung around the top division for a while and managed to draw an inside straight and win a Yusho out of nowhere. But I think Tamawashi is a different case. Tamawashi was 33 when he won his championship, and Daieisho is 27 and still has a lot more sumo left in the tank. And also, Tamawashi had a much stronger Banzage at that time, even though Tamawashi's still around, but it was a much stronger Banzage top to bottom than it is for Daieisho. And that brings me to Hank Aaron. Quick sidebar. Now, for those of you who are baseball fans, you know that we lost a baseball icon in the past week in Hank Aaron, longtime home run king, ambassador of baseball, one of the greatest outfielders of all time. The thing that you were reading in all of sort of the recaps of his baseball career and the tributes to him was his incredible consistency, that he was still having seasons at the end of his career just like they were at the very beginning of his career. And that's very true. But in baseball, there's such a thing as what we call park effects. Not every baseball park is built the same way. Some parks, like Fenway Park, have really short porches. Some, like the old Tiger Stadium, had like a center field that was really far away. So depending on the type of hitter you were, the type of weather in the stadium, each park has its own different sort of effect on hitters and pitchers. Now, although Hank Aaron stayed his entire career with the Braves did not spend their entire career in one park. When Hank Aaron started in the major leagues, the Braves were in Milwaukee. And at the time Hank Aaron was having some of his greatest early seasons, Milwaukee was playing as a pitcher's park, almost 10% favoring pitchers. Then, later on in his career, they moved to Atlanta. And guess what? The stadium in Atlanta boosted offensive output by, say, 10 to 15% in some seasons. So, People would always praise Hank Aaron for having this very, very consistent stat lines, when really, Hank Aaron had his stats depressed by his original home park and had them boosted as he aged. So he had more of the curve of a natural athlete than you would expect. Now, obviously, this doesn't apply to sumo because everyone fights on the same dohyo, but what I'm talking about is not park effects, but level of competition. Right now, the level of competition in sumo overall is not as good as it has been, even since I've been watching. But you have a guy like Daieisho, who may not be the most dominant rikishi, but he's a very competent rikishi, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and given the right tournament, he can get a Yusho. You'll also see guys, we're going to talk about Takarafuji, who's been doing very well. He hasn't been doing this well in years. Has he found a new gear? Or is the talent level just lower, and people who were merely above average before now read as excellent to very excellent? Quick sidebar. And it's not like Daieisho was some sort of pushover who just got lucky or some sort of Tokushoryu surprise. He's been fighting the top of the division for the past few years. He even beat Hakuho fairly, if we all remember the match where Hakuho got a little salty at the end. He's a quality rikishi, and I would not be surprised if he makes an Ozeki run this year. Now let's talk about the Ozeki. My biggest wrong thing was I was believing it was time for Takakeisho to really take the next step, grab a Yusho. I was wrong about that one. Takakeisho, frankly, he looked ready to start the tournament, but then he fought like he was hurt. He wasn't getting the normal strength he gets off the tachi. He wasn't getting the type of double arm wave action he normally gets. He didn't get his first win for a couple of days. And in that case, I just want to say, like, Takakeisho, dude, if you're getting hurt, and don't stick it out, just go Kyujo. You're an Ozeki. You can do that. Shodai. Very, very wrong about Shodai. I thought the ankle injury was going to somehow inhibit his tachi and his ability to balance on the bales for cartoon sumo, and he responded by getting all the cartoon sumo. 4 straight mono-e, 4 days in a row. What? Yeah, I've never seen anything like that, but okay, cartoon sumo seems to be in full effect. So wrong about that one. Welcome back, Shodai. Let's hope you have a great and consistent year. Asanoyama. Okay, the only prediction I got right. I said Asanoyama was going to get 10 plus wins and the June Yusho. Got it. Took till day 15, but he did get it. He got a piece of the June Yusho to tie with Shodai and Terunofuji. And Terunofuji, another person who I was wrong about. I thought he was going to get the 8 and out. He was going to sustain some sort of injury mid-tournament and go Kyujo. He didn't. He stayed in all 15 days, played quite the spoiler for Shodai, and showed off some very, very good sumo. He was not promoted to Ozeki, which I find a little bit surprising. Terunofuji's last 3 tournaments have been 11 wins, 13 wins, and 8 wins. And now that's only 32 wins over 3 tournaments, but that's exactly the amount of wins Shodai had. And if you're like, well, Shodai won a Yusho, well, so did Terunofuji. He just won it 2 Basho before the June Yusho that was the one before it. Asanoyama was promoted with an 11, a 10, and 11. Like, he's cleared the Ozeki standard, whatever that is. Now, the main reason I can see him not being promoted to Ozeki is that we don't know if he's going to stay healthy. Ozeki is a rank where you can start taking tournaments off without losing rank. And so, like I've said before, and I'll say again, Terunofuji will not receive any promotions until they are undeniable to the point they have to promote him. Now, this is something I have noticed about sort of the past year. Another quick sidebar. Now, since the beginning of sort of the COVID age of sumo, we've been wondering, will large stables have a noticeable advantage over the small stables? Obviously, large stables mean you have more people to practice with, a wider variety of talent. Will that have an effect? And I think the answer is absolutely yes. Every single champion we have had, all of the like sort of hot stories of sumo in the COVID era have been about rikishi who belong to medium to large size stables. All of our champions have come from stables that have other rikishi in the Makauchi division. The smallest one I can think of is Shodai, and he has Yutakeyama. But then you have guys like Asanoyama and Mitakeuma are the ones I'm thinking about. The next best person in their stable is in Makushita, and you can't expect them to be able to keep a fighting edge when they essentially are doing the teaching in the ring for their stablemates. And for that reason, I don't think Asanoyama or Mitakeumi is going to contend for a Yusho until the whole business is over. Quick sidebar. And now the people who weren't necessarily in the Yusho picture but had some amazing tournaments, you deserve some recognition too. It's time for Uncle Sumo's Attaboys. And we're starting the Attaboys with my favorite new pixie. Get out of here, Tobizaru. Midori Fuji! Welcome! Midori Fuji, he's an exciting new pixie. He seems to be adjusting very well to the Makauchi division, and he has a wonderful signature move that we are all learning, Katasukashi, which is not only an amazingly cool technique, but it is also, scientifically, the second most satisfying Kimarite to say. Akiseyama. This was a guy in his mid-30s, had only had one other appearance in the Makauchi division, which he was immediately demoted from. He got Kachikoshi. He's gonna be around for a bit. And like, yeah, people are making fun like he's an old guy. He's got sort of a interesting physique, but yeah, he won the matches. He's gonna be sticking around for a while, and he may be up for the role of Uncle Sumo coming up. I mean, we go to Shogiku retired. Who's Uncle Sumo now? Hoshoryu. Okay. Now, we haven't talked a lot about Hoshoryu, mostly because he hasn't done that much in the top division yet. And yeah, he's the nephew of someone famous, and I don't care. But he ended up losing his first 5 matches and then winning 9 in a row. That is some gamburization, my friend. Attaboy Hoshoryu. We're just going to have to see if he's going to be able to get around his sort of lack of mass to be able to get above what I think his ceiling will be at his current size. Kota Nowaka had an excellent tournament. He seems fully healed from the injury that pushed him back down to Juryo. He's back. He's getting double-digit wins. I'm ready for him and Kota Shoho to start taking the Sado Gatake Beya back to the top of the rankings. Like, stable rankings are a thing. They're not really. Now my Sumo 3-way parlay was, I thought, the 3 guys were going to feel the wrath of the Sanyaku, and 2 of them did not. They ended up getting Kachikoshi. So Onosho and Takara Fuji, right on ya. Onosho looked really, really good. He appears to be a bit over his face falling, at least not nearly as much as he used to, so hopefully this means a Sanyaku push. Takara Fuji is having sort of a career renaissance right now. If you look at his past, he hasn't really done much. He had like a little bit of a Sekiwake run at like one point a few years ago, but since then, you could usually find him at like Maegashira 10-7. But now, he seems to be hanging out in the Joy-Jin. A little bit of that Hangaren effect I was talking about before, but he's getting older too, but it seems that just defense and stamina never go out of style, and he's got those for days. So, Takara Fuji, attaboy. And then we come to sort of the disappointments of the Basho. And of course, we're starting with the Yokozuna. They weren't here again. I always get a little mad when people say, well, the current crop of contenders, that they don't mean anything because they haven't beaten a Yokozuna. They're not here. If the Yokozuna showed up, they'd lose. That's why they're not there. Hopefully, the next tournament is when we're going to start to get some idea of what the future looks like for our 2 Yokozuna. And I don't think it's going to be very long. Kakuryu hasn't been fully healthy in almost a year, and he hasn't won a championship in 2 years now? As I mentioned a few times before, Kakuryu has been Kyujo in over 40% of his Basho at Yokozuna. I can see how they may be ready to sort of push him into a haircut. Now, Hakuho is a different thing. Hakuho, even when he went Kyujo a few tournaments ago, still got 10 wins. You have to figure there's got to be some sort of leeway for the greatest of all time. But I was a person who was really, really hoping he was going to come back strong. He was going to stick it out till the Olympics. But now he's had COVID, and I don't think that's a thing you really jump back from, especially this late in your career. Aqua had COVID, and he did not have a good tournament at all. And now there's also talk that the Olympics might not be happening. So if he's been waiting this whole time just for the Olympics and the Olympics don't happen, then how long are people sort of supposed to wait? So yes, we'll see. Will March be the reckoning we've all been waiting for? And the other disappointments we had. Kota Shoho. You know I love Kota Shoho. That was not a good one. But if we just look back just a couple Basho to Onosho. Onosho made it up to Maegashira 2, got the 2-13 smackdown. Then came right back up the next tournament after a Maegashira 9, bumped back up to Maegashira 2. He's fine. I think Kota Shoho just has never been in the position of losing 7 matches in a row, or in fact even facing 7 wrestlers who were better than him in a row. This might have been the first time that's ever happened to him. I think he got into his head. He didn't look hurt. There was no injury report, so I have to just think the young man was in his head. He's going to get it back screwed on right, and he'll be good to go for the next Basho. I still think he's going to make Sanyaku this year. And, ooh, one of my favorites I think we're going to be saying goodbye to real soon. Ikioi. It looks like he has broken his thumb. He went Kyujo for the first time I can ever remember. This is going to drop him down to Makushita. He's already got his elder stock. He seems to have his life pretty well in order. I think it's going to be a pretty smooth ride into Intai for Ikioi. Sir, we shall miss you and your gorgeous golden tones. So I guess this chapter of the story of Sumo is telling me this. We are not approaching an era anytime soon where one or two alpha dogs are going to just clear the field. If we're talking in like Madden terms, we don't have any 99s. We don't even have any like 95s. We don't really even have any 90s. What we have are a lot of solid Bs. We have 6 to 8 guys, I think, who can regularly get 10 wins at the top of the division. And every now and again, one of them's going to draw that inside straight and get a Yusho. Do I think we're going to get another Yokozuna soon? Yes. Do I think that person's going to be an ultimate alpha dog who dominates everyone? No. I think the ceiling for any of the people we have right now is Kakuryu, 6 tournaments. I don't even think we have a Haramufuji who could get to 9 right now. But we do right now have 3 Ozeki under the age of 30. We have Terunofuji, who seems to be knocking on the door. Daieisho might be making a run. Mitake Yumi, maybe when COVID stops and he can start practicing again. Takayasu, he's been there before. Hokuto Fuji, can he be consistent enough to get 33 wins? Maybe we end up seeing 6 Ozeki by the end of the year. We have a committee of Ozeki, an attack of the solid Bs. Thank you all for coming back to the dohyo. We, of course, are going to have some more great episodes before the next Basho, the Boulder predictions. We're going to jump back into the shadow of Hakuho. I hope everyone's having a good 2021 so far. Stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy, and I will see you next time on the dohyo.